I think there is just too many cryptos in the market. I mean, you can't really prevent people from creating a coins, right?
I know a lot of people who secretly think that he's not a scammer.
I also lost a lot on Luna, so yeah.
Basically, all altcoins are going to zero. I was really big on meme coins, but right now everything's went to zero.
This material is for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide accounting, legal, or tax advice, or investment recommendations, or an official statement of Presto or its affiliates.
Hello. This is the Presto Research Podcast. Today, I have another guest from the research team. It's Min. What's up, Min?
Hey, what's up?
Let's do a brief self-introduction of yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm Min. I'm a research analyst at Presto. I've been in Presto for almost 3 years now. So actually one of the earliest member since we started other businesses within quant. And before that, I worked at a sales trading at a US investment bank.
Right. That's awesome. So everyone is in pain. I think we're seeing a little relief rally here. We touched 78K. I think right now the price is around 84K.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is going to bounce back even higher. I'm on the bearish side. I'm not sure what you think about current market conditions. What's your take on this? Are we all over?
So I actually cashed out most in this early January for my personal use, which is actually a pure luck. So if you're actually not investing heavily, you kind of feel less pain. But some people are saying it's actually worse than Luna, worse than FTX. But I don't know. I mean, it's just because I'm investing, I guess, not a huge amount right now. But if you actually look at the data, though, Bitcoin is still at 84K, which is higher than the last cycle. And if you look at the total 3 market cap, it's where it was at the highs of 2021. So, I mean, some of the data are actually showing that markets aren't really that bad. So I guess then it kind of implies something, right? I think there is just too many cryptos in the market. So I actually wrote this FDV market cap report in May of 2024. I kind of give myself credit for writing it before Binance Research and it became a thing. And if you kind of scroll down, there's like one chart that I did, which is the top 10 coin launched in 2024. Yep, that one. So if you actually look at that, it was like top 10 crypto that was launched in 2024, and which is like Athena, Jupiter, Wormhole, and those kind of stuff. And most of them unlocks on 2028 to 2031, which is like 5 or 6 years from now. And if you just look at the data, you need like 6 billion in the market just to sustain the current price. I mean, current price at that time, which means that just for 10 projects, you need 6 billion in the market just to keep the price. And it's just ridiculous that if you kind of multiply that by 10 or 100-ish, because there is more and more cryptos in the market. So I was thinking what we can do next. I mean, what we can do to prevent this. And I mean, you can't really prevent people from creating a coins, right? So I think possible solutions could be one's like a KPI-based unlock, which I kind of mentioned briefly in the report, but and which also CZ kind of tweeted, I guess, like a few days ago. And other thing is, I think the listing side, we could do something. I mean, normally Binance lists like 1 or 2 projects a week, and that's like 50 to 100 projects per year. And when you say top tier 1 exchanges, which is like Bybit, OKX, Binance, like there probably be like 200 or 300 cryptos listing per year. And that's like IPO happening every single day, even during the weekends for the stock market. So I think there should be somewhat strict listing criteria. And also on the delisting side of stuff, like if you ask me right now, I could list probably 5 projects that aren't really working, that is listed and still trading, but the founder's doing something different projects or they're not working. So I think we are very conservative on the delisting side, which kind of Binance tries to change it through the voting system. But we are very aggressive on the listing side. So I think we need to kind of fix that imbalance. I know it's very hard since at the end of the day, exchanges are for profit business. So they're here to make money, and money means more cryptos, more exchange, more trading volumes and stuff. So if you ask me like how we can fix it, I don't really have an answer to it, but I think those two could be the potential solution to it.
Yeah. Seems like you're talking about that there are too many crypto assets, therefore it's hard to sustain current prices. So I think that inevitably makes us to buy more hard assets, which is Bitcoin. And I think that's why Bitcoin dominance will rise even higher and higher, even though we have more and more crypto assets. And that kind of doesn't really matter if you are a long-term investor. Like, why would you buy, let's say, Ondo? I mean, Ondo is it's an okay pick, I guess. But let's say,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to shit on anyone right here, but like, let's just say, why would you buy a governance token? It's like the financial nihilism thing was basically saying back in 2024 that all governance tokens are basically meme coins and they don't have no value because the token is not attached to the performance of like a certain network, right? Unless it has some sort of fee
fee switch
sharing
Yeah.
mechanism. So even when I tell my dad, like, my dad recently asked me, like, what should I buy? Like, I think that was in the January or February. And my dad was like, what do you think about XRP? And I was like, Dad, don't do that. It's your base assumption should be that basically all altcoins are going to zero. You should only be managing one asset and one asset that you can manage, which is Bitcoin. Because I think Bitcoin is not going to be the one that goes to zero in long term.
Yep.
And I think there are a lot of people who share this sentiment right now. Because last year I was really big on meme coins, but right now everything's went to zero, really, for real. Like, it literally went to zero. And the only thing that really matters, like, only thing that is above ATH is actually Bitcoin. Even Solana, the fastest runner this cycle, it's down so bad. So yeah, I think we're gonna see like a long chop season. Well, I'm actually stabled up, but if I'm going to DCA into something, I think I want to DCA into Bitcoin this time, because that was actually the highest. That was like basically when I DCA'd into Bitcoin, my win rate was 100% all the time because Bitcoin never goes down. Yeah. Yeah. So I would have advised, actually, if I were to give advice to my dad, which I actually did, I would say just buy Bitcoin, or anyone. I would just, say buy Bitcoin. I think that would happen to you, Min, but do you have like any plans where, you're thinking about to endure this chop season?
So I think what people currently saying is it's back to fundamentals, where you have to invest in cryptos that's actually making a money, right? So I think one example, so it's mostly DeFi coins in that sense. And other could be, I don't know, maybe some GameFi maybe, but I don't know. But in terms of DeFi coins, I think if you look at Hyperliquid, so that's one reason actually why if I have to buy other coin than Bitcoin, I'll buy Hyperliquid, because they're actually making a revenue, and I think they bought like 5% of the circulating supply already. And if you look at Bybit, they got hacked for 1.4 bill, but which is crazy amount, but they're okay because their 1 year profit could probably cover the losses, I think. Something like that, right? So if your profit could cover, and Bybit, I would say, is after like Binance, OKX, or maybe probably in par with OKX. So if Bybit could make 1.4 billion, I think that should be like operating profit, not even revenue. Then Hyperliquid side, they should be also creating tons of revenue, and that revenue will be shared with the holders. So I think in terms of crypto now, people need to think whether the crypto business is actually making money and whether that money is actually going into the holders, not just the foundation.
I think for that to actually happen, I think that will happen in a very short time because U.S. regulatory conditions are changing rapidly. For example, Aave, they just turned on the fee switch. And I think a lot of like US-based companies would follow suit because the SEC is no longer going after their asses. And I don't know how long it will take though, because these policy decisions, it actually takes a lot of time. You need voting for these certain things to actually happen, and it's not going to happen on a federal level at all. I mean, at once. It's I think some states like Texas or these more forward-looking states will try to front run everyone, and that doesn't mean like everyone's going to be able to get the benefits. I think most crypto companies are based in New York or Miami or something. I don't really know, but it's I'm looking for that to actually happen. And yes, I think buying Hyperliquid right now is actually not bad, but I recently just took all my money out of the HLP vault because the recent toxic flow it wrecked all my dude. I put in like some stables for a few months, and then last night my returns were all erased and it went to negative. So I was like, damn, HLP is not safe. So I've seen this one tweet saying that what if someone comes into the casino and they rob the casino every day for $4 million a day? I was like, damn. Nobody, like, I don't know how they will try to prevent this to happen again. And I've seen some people talking about potential solutions. For example, limiting the limit of margin you can use, and you have to you can create an inverse relation to the margin to leverage. Therefore, you don't create massive size, which this insider, the Hyperliquid insider, did. I think that like he created like 140 million position or something, and then
So I think what really people should know is like it's not just Hyperliquid. This kind of things happen on centralized exchanges, and not that this is like the same event happened, but so people kind of blame Hyperliquid and say like, oh, this is like wrong and this is like wrongly designed or stuff. But this kind of stuff happen every time. And if you look at like GMX and those kinds of stuff, there was like an Oracle, I guess, exploit happen going on. I think that was pretty much wrongly. I think it's just the market condition. If you look at GMX as well, the market was too, I guess it was avalanche or stuff. I think I remember. So the market was really thin, and it was like the perfect kind of market condition for the, I don't know, to user to kind of manipulate. So HLP, like Hyperliquid stated on their Twitter, they kind of worked as it was designed. And I think this kind of stuff always happened on every exchange. It's not just Hyperliquid. So I think as Hyperliquid stated, it kind of went how HLP was designed. Of course, the margin requirements and those kind of leverage, the max position should be somewhat changed, but still it was designed that it was supposed to be. And I don't think there is any problem with it. And even decentralized exchanges, if something happens, they always change the max position. And if you look at all these Binance, I won't say manipulations, but TRB or those coins, right? They're supposed to be 8 hours funding fee, but something this happens, they kind of change to 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. So I think this change is just a natural process, and Hyperliquid has been in this market for a year. So I think there should be lots of changes happening, and I don't really see this as like a Mac's pain point or this as a selling issue. So that's the reason why I actually bought more yesterday as well.
You got some balls of steel, because I was like, oh, maybe I want to, withdraw my money from Hyperliquid. After all, when we see these glimpses of weaknesses in protocols, you never know how that will cascade into a bigger tsunami, right? That happened all the time. It happened to Luna. It happened to 3AC. It happened to a lot of things. I have some strong 2022 PTSD. So I'm trying to be very, very careful with my capital deployment. And I'm actually looking for other stable farming protocols to use right now. But I don't think this is the right time we should talk about it. I think this podcast, we're trying to talk about what Min is interested right now. I think he mentioned earlier about his idea of there are too many crypto assets. But what he didn't mention was that mass adoption is not here. Tell us why.
So I think it's really how we define mass adoption is if mass adoption is like more people trading cryptos, more cryptos out there, I think yes. But did crypto actually made our lives better, or is it actually needed in our life? Can we live without crypto? To be honest, I don't know. Like compared to AI, when my friends ask like why crypto is needed and how does it make my everyday life better, if I'm talking to like normie who doesn't know anything about AI and crypto, when they say AI, oh, what's AI needed? I just say, oh, ChatGPT. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, like AI is needed. Like, and if they ask me crypto, to be honest, like I don't know what I should answer about and say it. So I think crypto definitely became much more closer to our daily lives. And we have seen some experiments using stablecoins or RWAs or those kind of stuff. But I still think we are far ahead from what so-called mass adoption.
Yeah, but do you think like it's because there are not enough people who use it, or is it because like the frequency that we use it? Because, for example, I use a crypto card, which is nice. Like I can go overseas, I can pay with it anywhere, I can withdraw money from an ATM and all that. Is it because like it doesn't seem to have relevance to your life as much as how you use AI?
That's also true, but I mean, stablecoin card is good, but is it actually better than my current Visa card or stuff? And if I have to choose between a Visa card and a crypto card, will I choose crypto card? I think it's just one of the options that can be used in my life, but I don't think it's actually kind of needed as like ChatGPT or those kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think this problem kind of pertains to how there is no credit system in crypto right now. I'm seeing some protocols like Ethos. Is it Ethos or Ethos? Anyways, the buddies who trying to create a reputation system in crypto due to crypto's innate add-on culture. I think there is a need for this. But the direction how these reputation systems are going, I'm not pretty fond of it because first, there are people that I have no idea who they are, have higher reputation scores than Vitalik Buterin. Like how is that? I mean, even Vitalik, he's not like a saint, right? He's not like the Lord. He's not the, Almighty. He should have some criticisms but like it's nonsensical to have like these total like people I never even heard of have higher, like way higher reputation scores than these well-known figures that actually changed how we live actually. Because if it wasn't for crypto, then I would have been jobless practically. Like what should I do without crypto? So Vitalik, he's actually a guy who changed my life in a very indirect way. And yeah, I was anyways, this is all about credit. Like we need to create a credit system So do you think that could be one of the problems?
Actually, there is one project that I saw yesterday. I forgot the name. It was like Jane something, but there is like a credit system where you kind of link your you kind of link your credit to your real life through like CKP or whatever. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't really know how it works, but so you kind of use the CK technology and then you kind of bring your own credit score to the on-chain. Still, I think in that sense, still you gotta use your. I think it's very hard to just completely block your, I guess, everyday life and everyday like credit from your Web 2 world with Web 3, which means that by just using the credit and just using the information on the Web 3 and building a credit there, I think it's very hard. I actually have no idea how it could work. I mean, like you can look at someone's on-chain transactions and stuff and say, oh, this guy transferred like 100K and 200K-ish every time, so he must be rich. Like, I don't know if that's actually a possible thing to do.
I think like, these credit systems, it has a lot to do with your the assets you hold, right? Like, for example, and what job you actually have, right? For example, in Korea, if we want to get out of we want to get a loan, the first thing you do is you prove your like what you own and like what job you have and the proof of it. But on chain, do you want to do it? And secondly, can you do it? Of course, like there are these technologies that will do this like magic crypto thing, and it will mask all the fine details to actually pinpoint who I am in real life. But I think people just want to stay on crypto in general, and you never know if these systems will be centralized or not, because for example, Bitcoin bridges from the Bitcoin mainnet to Bitcoin L2s. They all say they're trustless, but that's bullshit. As long as I know, there are no Bitcoin bridges that are bridgeless. Like there are only like some protocols that have unilateral exit, which is basically you can tell the L2 to give all my money back to the L1 with no permission to anyone. And that's like the Lightning Network and just this other one, I think. So basically, we never know if there will be like a centralized attack vector on these things with these sensitive things that will be handled by them. So I think that's one major, pain point that should be solved for mass adoption. But is there more reasons that you think it's crypto has not reached mass adoption? Because in my opinion, I think we did. I think we are practically adopted by, we're like celebrities, like Pump Fun, Phantom, and these people just on YouTube talking about crypto nonstop. Like we had a president who created his own coin, Javier Milei, and the president of the US also has a meme coin of himself. And the guy who is almost like his best friend right now, Elon Musk, loves Dogecoin, and they have a government department named after Doge. So how is this not mass adoption? Like, you got to convince me here.
So I guess mass adoption in terms of gambling makes sense. But I think in that sense, crypto is just used because it's not because of the technology or other stuff, but because it's just not regulated. And it's just not, you can get rid of it, right? If it was stock which was not regulated, Trump would probably issued a stock, right? So I think that's not because crypto is needed or anything. It's just like they just want to get rid of the regulatory uncertainty and just kind of all the messes.
But I think the beauty of crypto is that do you think it could be regulated in the future though? Like, do you think the US can regulate the whole system of crypto? For example, do you think they can extradite scammers from Dubai to punish them in U.S. court? Do you think that will be possible?
So I don't think that's possible, but I think what they could do is they could do most is kind of regulating all the exchanges and basically what get listed and what don't get listed, and making it as very highly regulated place. So we have limited selections and only what they approve will be on the exchanges. And I guess indexes, I guess that's the beauty, and that's like the, I guess, advanced part of the crypto, is that it won't, like, no one could regulate 100%.
Yeah, but when I hear things about, like, you know, regulating crypto and like having this authority to decide what should be listed or not, crypto could be divided into the US and the rest of the world. I think I've been saying this for like the last like 2 years or so, because if we have a regulated environment where, let's say, you have to do KYC and you have to prove you're human, you have to prove you're like whatever, like you have to prove a lot of things to actually trade in crypto rails, then I think there are going to be people who don't want that. And the people who don't want that are the people who are laundering their money with crypto, in my opinion. Last year we had Hamas and Elizabeth Warren talking about how Hamas was laundering their money with Tether and these stable coins. And I think the US will try to create these safeguards to prevent these bad actors from using their own currency to forward their, I don't know, terrorist agenda. Like at this point, I don't even know what a terrorist is. But anyways, yes, I think since crypto it's basically dominated by stable coins, and that stable coin we always mean the US dollar. Mm-hmm. So if the US dollar can be used in such manner, then I think the US will try to create a moat or like a walled garden, on-chain walled garden, where their citizens and their allies will be allowed to use. And I think we will have like this other, I don't know if this other system will be a walled garden, but I think that will be the open source world where, you know, anyone, people like criminals, you know, warlords, terrorists, people who don't want to go through like US authorities, I think that on-chain environment will still stay. And I think the center could be somewhere like Dubai.
I wonder about how big the society will be. Like, for example, if US kind of dominates all the exchanges, and they say like, oh, because at the end of the day, you have to on-ramp and off-ramp the crypto, right? So exchange, in that sense, exchange is very important. And they say, oh, if the wallet have ever interacted with those kind of stuff, they will block it. They will block from their exchanges and stuff. Then I wonder how big that kind of places will be. And that, I guess that place will only, I don't know if there's something meaningful could happen in that place other than something illicit activities or maybe drug dealings or whatever it is.
I think we are heading into a world where US dominance is actually falling. I did not believe this until a few years ago, but now I'm realizing that the US is entering realpolitik era. Like, for example, Trump right now is trying to negotiate with Russia, but the people who went into Ukraine, which are the Democrats and the neocons and, you know, these people, the globalists, they just rushed into Ukraine, right? It's because Trump looks at the world into a realpolitik lens, and the people who were in power before Trump only looked at the world through a realpolitik lens, like partially. They thought that US dominance was still very strong. That's why the policymakers in 2022 were very surprised that when Ukraine was invaded, they just freaked out. They never knew that Russia would actually invade Ukraine. It's because the way they look at the world is basically American supremacism, or American liberalism will dominate everything and they can do whatever they can. So if you look at how Trump is reacting to the Ukraine and Russia situation, in my opinion, I think the world where U.S. dominance is, where we thought that U.S. dominance will last forever, is actually fading. And they're preparing for a much more isolated environment. So I think their power into like non-traditional financial rails will not have that much power because they already have not much power in crypto. I mean, stable coins are very powerful in crypto, but that doesn't mean they can censor everyone and they can, put them behind bars, right? So if we're going to see a world where US dominance will slowly fade and we're going to have a multipolar world, then I think this can totally happen.
But not just US, as well. Is there any countries, any governments that would support that kind of environment, right? So it's not just US that's going to block, but if something happens, so back to my question is, will there be any governments that actually supports those it's going to be zero, right?
I'm not sure about that. Well, I don't know shit, so I can't really say much.
I don't know. I never actually thought that deep, so.
Yeah, well, that's just me. Like, I've been like watching a lot of these YouTube videos and, reading. And so I got into my conspiracy theory era here again. So I don't think, like, if there's no one single nation that can control like a global network, then all nations will try to not break into, but like create that network as their own turf, right? Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a lot of loopholes where you can, just exploit. As like a person, you can just, like these scammers, like they're actually exploiting how the judicial system works. They just scam people in the US and they flee to Dubai, and nothing really happens there because they can't be extradited. I think this can be more pronounced in the future because if China, the US don't have like a much stronger advantage over each other, then there will be no dominance. Therefore, there will be a lot of gray areas, literally a lot of gray physical areas that they will not be able to cover, in my opinion. But I could be totally wrong because last time I saw this tweet about there will be a system in 2027 that will implement it to all exchanges that will like prove the flow of money and all. Like, I don't know how it exactly works, but it seems like they're trying to come up with like this very high level system where you will not be able to actually like, evade taxes or like, run away with money anymore, that kind of stuff. I think when that comes, mass adoption could come even more in a more like easy manner, because if we have those kind of safeguards, then people would feel more safe to come into the industry. And I think it's meme coins, they're all good. Like I made a little bit of money, but after all, 99% of people lost money on pump fund, and you don't want that to happen for actual mass adoption to happen. You want like at least 51% of people making money, right? So let's see what happens.
This is like an actual genuine question. Do you think that China will do something if Bitcoin price goes up? Like, so at the 2017 cycle, they banned the exchanges, right? And then 2021 cycle, they banned the the Bitcoin mining thing, right? So there's like a rumor that if Bitcoin reaches 200K-ish, they're gonna ban something and it's gonna be either they're gonna ban owning Bitcoin or whatever. It's just a rumor and conspiracy going on in the market, but just wanna, if you have any thoughts on it.
I have no clue. Like, if I were China, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on in their minds. I don't know, like, how they really perceive Bitcoin. I know that they kind of look at it as like a very, I don't know, like, it's something that they can't really like bash on because a lot of Chinese people own Bitcoin, but they still kind of let it, flow. Like, it's just like a thing that they trying to hide behind, like hide underneath their bed, that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if like China will actually do anything, but I wouldn't be happy if I were China, because if the US is trying to make this like their new thing and they don't have that much investment or like say in how this thing will go, then that's how China will lose the second like chance to become a financial superpower. I think that's what they're trying to do with Hong Kong right now. Even though Peter says that Hong Kong is pretty independent, I think maybe that could be a psyop. It could be like, oh, Hong Kong's okay, CCP, no CCP here, and everyone just pile into Hong Kong, and then CCP does like a little mask off moment and be like, oh, Hong Kong is actually ours. And
I mean that's kind of, as a Korean, that's kind of same thing for Korea, right? We kind of have all the biggest investors in the world, but in the building side and in those side, we're kind of losing it because we don't have enough regulations. And I mean, even Bitcoin ETFs not tradable in Korea. So I mean, I think as a Korean, it just feels really, I don't know, kind of bad that we have all the interest, and everyone's kind of mocking us as like kimchi hae and as an extra liquidity, but nothing actually practical and nothing actually good is going on. If you imagine if we have one Korean crypto perp exchange, probably I think it could be at least top 10 market cap Korean stock if they IPO'd or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
I kind of had this conversation yesterday too with someone I know, and he was like, well, Hong Kong and Singapore are known for their finance market, but Korea is not. So there is no incentive for Korean regulators to actually do things that they have never done, right? So that kind of made me a bit more bearish on like how in terms of innovation in crypto in Korea. But yeah, it's kind of sad every time I talk about Korea, but I guess that is how things are going to be. So
I mean, it's especially post Luna. I think all the Korean medias, governments, everyone's pretty much bearish or even, I don't know, skeptical about crypto. And if you say you're doing a crypto startup in Korea, pretty much everyone will look at you like, oh, are you a new scammer or something? So
yeah, but the thing about Luna and Dogecoin is I know a lot of people who secretly think that he's not a scammer. Like
okay. I don't know if
they don't want to say it out loud, but they think he was trying to do something. He was trying his attempt was a genuine attempt, but he just got wrong. He just got it wrong. That's about it. Like, there are a lot of people who think this way, but they just don't speak it out because of. I actually
think Luna is just a failed experiment. I mean, there could be some wrongdoings after Luna failed. I mean, after when the USD collapsed, there could be some wrongdoing. Like maybe he'll probably hide some money behind or whatever. But I think his attempt was actually very genuine. And what he was trying to build is basically what other thing is, right? I mean, Bitcoin and everything is basically a social agreement, right? And even the money is just on paper, but we believe that it has some value to it. So I think it's same for Luna. If you actually thought that UST it's $1, and if USD goes to 0.8, everyone buys it and back to up $1. I think it's a worse than experiment, and actually, I think one of the reasons it failed was there aren't enough ecosystem going on Terra. So I think if there was enough ecosystem going on Terra, if there was like GameFi projects, if there was some actual payments going on, and things that you could do with UST and every stuff. I mean, imagine if you could actually use UST on some of the I guess stores, people will buy at 0.8 and 0.9 just because they know that they could use it at $1. But I think the problem was that there aren't enough ecosystem going on in Luna that no one actually had to buy at lower prices, and they couldn't really make an arbitrage on it. So I think there are some wrongdoings happened after collapse, but I think his attempt and the design of Luna is something that was actually kind of worth it.
But again, there were a lot of things that were not actually honest coming from the Luna Foundation guard. Was it? Was that anyone?
LFG.
So, LFG. And yeah, it's a very sensitive topic because a lot of people lost money, including myself. And yeah, I think we should just end the conversation about that here, because it could be a very dangerous topic, and we're kind of representing a brand, which is Presto Research. All these things that we just talked about are our own opinions. Do not make any investments based on this conversation. Luna is a it's a topic that nobody should trust us. I mean, we all have our bias.
I also lost a lot on Luna, so yeah.
So we lost on Luna, but we're still thinking that, bro, this is what we call a Stockholm syndrome. We got psyoped by the guy so hard that we still like him. I miss his tweets though.
So yeah, I mean, he was a character. He was a character for sure. I mean, few people who actually met him in person say ridiculous things about him. So I think, but that's actually what makes him a strong leader as well. So
maybe a psychopath. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, today I think we had enough about everything. I think we had a very good, fruitful conversation about a lot of things. Thank you, Min, for tuning in. And I think I'll see you another day. And thank you. This was the Presto Research Podcast. See you again. Goodbye.
Thank you.